Good afternoon. I call to order the GCC board meeting, regular board meeting, March 11th, 2025 at a little after 4. Sorry for the delay, just trying to get through the traffic, so we're here. Roll call. Mr. Mark Anderson.
Here.
Please note that Board Treasurer Mark Anderson is participating in today's meeting via teleconference due to just cause, circumstances permitted by the Brown Act Government Code Section F2A1. Thank you for being here with us, Mr. Anderson. Mr. Harry Block is on his way. He will be here within the next 15 minutes or so before we start voting on items. Bruce Mandrick.
Present.
Mr. Jack Turner is absent today. Is that correct? Lily Campbell present. We do have a quorum with Mr. Anderson by teleconference and Mr. Block coming in within the next few minutes. So with that, welcome everyone. Welcome. Do we have public comments?
We have no public comments.
We have no public comments. So again, I wish to welcome all of you to our 4 o'clock board meeting. The traffic is horrendous out there. So that's why some of us were a little late trying to get here. So if you've been on the road at all on 65 and 80, you know that it is really pretty bad out there. But we're so glad to see you, and welcome to those of you who are watching us virtually. So thank you, all of you, for being here. And so with that, we will get started and go right into our agenda for today. Superintendent's update. He's just waiting.
I'm anxiously waiting.
Yes, you are. So you're on.
Thank you, Madam President and members of the board. Good evening and welcome to everyone that is here tonight at our board meeting. Just a few items that I want to just kind of bring to the board's attention. You'll notice that both of our assistant superintendents, Mr. Coy and Mr. Elliott, are not in attendance tonight. Mr. Coy is out during this time. I want to report to the board that her husband had a very successful procedure, and he is at home recovering and resting well. So she is there taking care of him during this time. And then Assistant Superintendent Elliott is managing things back at the Convention Center for our conference. So this week, our leadership team is attending the California Charter Schools conference, which is downtown, and so that's where he is at tonight. But you're in the capable hands of Dr. Gold, Mr. Taylor, and Ms. Reyna. I didn't put myself in that, but you're in their capable hands tonight. So, and if anything is needed, we have principals and directors here.
Directors and principals here. So that's great.
Yeah. So also, I'd like to just tell the board I appreciate your flexibility in allowing us to start our meeting early tonight so that we're able to attend the meeting at Twin Rivers Unified later on. I also like to start by saying Happy Women's History Month. That's the month of March. This past Friday at COA Middle School, myself and the board president had the opportunity to attend the International Women's Day celebration to honor and celebrate women everywhere. And I'm going to stop there, and I will later on during comments allow there we go. I'm going to allow Ms. Campbell to go ahead and share that later on.
Yeah.
All right. Also for tonight, the Twin Rivers Unified School District Board meeting, we anticipate a vote on the charter renewals for CCCS, COA, as well as SAVA, and we look forward to sharing with you the outcome of that vote. On Thursday, the 12th, at the California Charter Schools Conference, I will be part of a panel discussion on actionable strategies to support immigrant students during times of uncertainty. I'm really proud to represent Gateway Community Charters and our schools, as well as the work that we have been doing to support our newly arrived refugee and immigrant families. And then later on in tonight's meeting, Director Terekov will be giving the board an update on some of the work that we have been doing directly. On February the 28th at Futures High School and Higher Learning Academy, they hosted a Black History Family Engagement Night there at RDP, and it was a wonderful event. Had the opportunity to sit and watch Madam President do some talking, and there was a gentleman up there who, for purposes of the audience, it's Miss Lily's husband, who she kept telling to cut it short. I believe those were her words as he flipped the page. But it was a great opportunity to have that moment, and then I want to thank Board President Campbell as well as Mr. Block for their attendance. So last week, we had the opportunity to participate in the first ever Superintendent's Read Across America Week, and I'm really proud of the work that happened across the entire GCC. And our goal this year was to have readers from our central office, from our community, from community leaders to go to every one of our schools and to read to our students. And so we had the opportunity to have Read Across America for students at every GCC school. I had the opportunity personally to read to students at Epic, Virtual Academy, and I have to say, and I meant to bring it to you, one of our teachers, Miss Delaney Nurse, she teaches second grade. Okay, she teaches third grade at the Virtual Academy. She wrote a book called Percy the Period. And so I was honored to read that book, and hopefully I think that did get to her class, but very proud of the work of all of our students. And then I had the opportunity to go over to CCCS TK8, yeah, there they go, and read to some students there. And I think probably the part that warmed my heart the most was when one of the students said, "Hey, last year you read to us about baseball," and they remembered the song "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," and so that was kind of fun. But this year we invited quite a few. I want to affirm our central office staff, members of our business department, our human resources department, ed services. We all went out, as you can see by those pictures, and spent time reading to our students. We also had elected officials. We had Supervisor Desmond, and we had Assembly Member Hoover. Well, I feel like there was another one that I'm forgetting, Sergey.
There was another supervisor, the newly elected supervisor. Her name escaped my mind.
I believe Supervisor Rodriguez.
Rosario Rodriguez.
Thank you. Who all came out to read to our students, so really proud of that work. And then in addition to these elected officials, our own board president, Miss Lily, also came out and she read with me at COA and CCCS. So really proud of that. So the next one, I'm full of updates tonight, but this one is also another exciting. On January the 24th, students from Futures High School put their civic engagement skills into real-life action at the California State Capitol, and they met with legislators and staff to advocate for key issues, including sustainability, fire safety, public health, and youth policy making. This experience is part of their senior project as they work towards earning their state seal of civic engagement, and our communications team had the opportunity to speak with some of the students, and we're going to get ready to share a video with you, but I want to affirm the work of Mr. Taylor, who helped to put all of this together along with our advocacy team to get our students to the Capitol, which I will tell you, I've talked to people outside of education, just in the policy world, and they seem to keep talking about these kids from a local high school that was a charter school that came and talked to them. So I want you to enjoy the video real quick, and then I'll share some more information on the other side.
I'm Ms. Pro. I am a history teacher at Futures High School, and I'm the coordinator for the senior project, which this year is with the State Seal of Civic Engagement. Students here are talking to the assemblymen and legislators about their senior projects, and the key part of the State Seal of Civic Engagement is getting involved in the government, trying to get their opinions, trying to get the word out on whatever their project may be, because the whole project is them trying to find the issue in the community that they're trying to solve. And so we're here to talk to the assemblymen, to voice their concerns, to hear what they have to say, and really get their projects going forward from there.
I feel like as of right now, our community could definitely be stronger. We hope to bring our community together, not only just in the way so that we can bring awareness to fire safety, but also so that we can make our community stronger.
We presented our project, we told them what we were doing, what we're hoping to accomplish, and we asked them how we could implement more policies to improve access, or maybe even some projects that could potentially have the community gardens for like at schools or in like big areas.
I think it was a valuable experience just being at the Capitol, seeing what the people do, seeing that their voices can be heard and that there are people willing to listen to them. Because that project, the base of it is finding a problem that they want to solve. So it's really personal to each student, to each group, whatever the problem may be, and how they can solve it for their community.
Our project is about vaping and the negative effects on it. We're currently writing a script for a documentary to show our community and show the legislators to see if we can get the parents and all the community involved onto it, and help students understand like the consequences of vaping and how it affects them in their everyday life, and how we're still growing. And if when they vape, it's going to be bad for their mental health and for their physical health and their brain, of course. My whole life, I've had this like perspective that they're like really fancy or like above, regular human status, but really they're regular people. And it's like he had like a picture of Tupac on his wall.
It really is different for each group. So some of them, next steps can be reaching out to some of them that they were talking to. Some of them want to know more about the project. Some of them, it could even, ideally, optimistically, could get to the point where we could even start writing some bills, get the word out there, legislator. That's the goal, right? But at least if their voices are being heard and we're letting the community know about Futures, about GCC, and what we're doing here.
Very good. Excellent.
So I will tell you, for me, one of the proud moments is those students did not go to the Capitol for charter issues. They went for youth issues, and their voice was heard very clearly. And so I'm very proud of our students. I'm proud of that work, and we're looking forward to doing more in the future. And that is my report tonight.
Oh, very good. Any comments? Anything? Nothing? Thank you so much for your comments. And as the superintendent said, we had a busy week last week, and I think the week before. He had mentioned the Black History Week at HLA and Futures, where you saw my husband. He was there representing the organization called 100 Black Men. And it is an international organization, and their goal is to mentor and to bring young men to the fold. And they are there as examples. And my husband was asked to speak about the 100 Black Men. He thought there would be more students, high school students there, but there were more elementary students, and they were kind of a little anxious to leave. And my husband had a 3-page speech that he was going to give, and I kept saying, cut it down, honey, cut it down. Come on now, just say how good it is to be here and let it go at that. But he didn't do it, so anyway. But it was an event that we hope will continue in the organization, and so we had a chance to visit with them. The other one was, I've forgotten, what else?
The women's.
The Women's International, yes, at, where it was COA Middle School. Yeah, I did so much I've forgotten which school I was at. But it was COA Middle School, and it was beautiful. Please make sure that the people there get the accolades. They did such a wonderful job. It was like a high tea. And the students performed just exquisitely. It was absolutely very rewarding. And I had a chance to speak to them, but I think I kind of went on too, like my husband. Did I?
No, you were fine.
I was fine.
You're the board president. You were fine.
Yeah, give me a mic and I just start talking. But it was great. It really was. And then the reading at CCCS, thoroughly enjoyed it. I read to fourth graders. I thought they were going to chew me up, but they didn't. They were very, very nice. First time I read to fourth grade since I got through teaching third grade. So it was quite an experience. I love reading to the kindergartens because they just sit there looking. But the third graders, they were great, though. They really listened. So it was an invigorating week for me because I did so many different things, and I really, really loved it. And I enjoyed being with the superintendent. Yes.
Likewise.
Yes. So thank you very much. And so with that, we shall move on. Time to move on. All right. We are now moving to our study sessions. And our first one is by Dr. Gold. And we are going to do artificial intelligence update. And I told her, don't do anything that's going to embarrass your board members. Because we don't know what we're doing.
Never, never. We have lots of support for you today. Well, good afternoon, President Campbell, Board of Directors, Mr. Anderson coming in Zoom for us, and Mr. Sample and Cabinet members. Today, I'm excited to present to you an update on AI, and as requested by the board, give you an opportunity to interact with a couple of the AI platforms. I told Mr. Mandrich that by the end, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get an update on how he is using this to help plan some of his amazing vacations from around the world. See if I can use this new clicker that we have. Wrong way. There we go. So at the beginning of this year, I provided with you all an update on the AI progress and shared our strategic rollout plan, which emphasized not only GCC's implementation, but also our goal to make regional impact. As you've seen in your weekly board updates, GCC continues to lead the way in strategic AI integration, including my work with SCOE and CSLA in delivering AI workshops to regional leaders and a community of practice for leaders across the region, including those from local charters, districts, and county offices of ed, such as PCOE in Calaveras County. I'm also beyond thrilled to share that our impact is actually now extending beyond the region, and we're actually making a global impact. On July 6th, this book, which I have a copy for you in front of you, Infinite Education, the 4-Step Strategy for Leading Change in the Age of AI, was written by the best-selling AI education author Daniel Fitzpatrick. If you may remember, we brought in Daniel Fitzpatrick and we flew him in from London last year to help provide us professional learning and build our capacity. And as a result, he then interviewed us to learn about what we are doing in leading the change of AI in education. So in this new book, he leveraged the voices of educational leaders and organizations from across the world, including ours. And I'm very proud to say that we are the only United States K-12 school that was used in his book. And he highlights some of the groundbreaking work that is being done in AI in education. In addition to using our interviews to guide some of his work, we were quoted multiple times showcasing our leadership in this space. And so in the book, we were quoted multiple times. And one of the quotes, my favorite, which I was so glad because I always say we are currently in the dial-up stages of AI. And that quote made it in the book and said, just as the internet has evolved so significantly from its earlier days, AI is expected to undergo substantial advancements and transformations. This early phase is crucial time for learning and adaptation. The other one that I'm just going to highlight is saying that we believe that AI serves as a catalyst for creating inclusive, innovative, and equitable learning environments. It allows us to offer personalized learning at scale, automate those administrative tasks, thus allowing our educators more time to focus on pedagogy. We're also very mindful, however, of the challenges, such as a digital divide and privacy concerns, and we're committed to providing, let's see what it says, training and support to our staff to navigate these issues efficiently. So those just are a couple of highlights from the book. So got you all a copy there. I really want to affirm my partner on this, which is Mr. Adrian Peer. Adrian, you know, we give him a clap. Could not do this. This is a big undertaking, as well as all of our AI mavericks who are really leading this charge at our school site, so really want to affirm all of them. Also, love to give you an update of what's new on artificial intelligence. And one of the biggest ones and causing a recent disruption in our stock market was a release of a new language learning model, which we call an LLM for short, rather DeepSeek. This caused NVIDIA, if you're familiar with that, which is a big GPU semiconductor stock, to crash momentarily because DeepSeek is a powerful language model that is similar to OpenAI, Meta's Llama, and it's really great at optimizing reasoning, comprehension, and response generation. But what makes it so groundbreaking is that it's open source. This means that any of these smaller companies who otherwise would find it difficult to compete with large companies such as OpenAI and Gemini are now able to use this technology to innovate and to create. The other positive outcome of DeepSeek is the cost effectiveness. It was said to have been built for only $6 million. Now compare this to OpenAI and Gemini, who've literally spent hundreds of millions of dollars on these language platforms. In addition, they said for less money, it's also said to perform at or better than these other LLMs, but using less GPUs, graphic processing units. This means it uses less energy, therefore costing less money. However, with all these greatness comes challenges. And some of these big challenges are bias, censorship, and security. So one notable concern is content moderation and bias in its response. An example of this is during my community of practice at SCOE, we decided to give it a little test to see how it would do. And one of the participants asked, kind of hard to see, a question about how's it Tiananmen Square massacre? And it basically said that it refused to engage in conversation with it, and it said it wanted to talk about something else. So it wouldn't even talk about that controversy, whereas if you asked a different LLM, Perplexity, it actually had no difficulty providing an objective historical perspectives, which you can see here. The other issue that we found was when one of the participants provided it with a statement, which was Taiwan should be free. DeepSeek responded by stating it opposes any form of independence from China and that discussing this topic was disrespectful to China. That's in sum. Whereas again, if you look at another LLM, Perplexity, it took a more neutral stance, declining to provide an opinion, but rather offered an objective historical perspective on Taiwan's political complexities. So why is this important? Is because these challenges highlight even the geopolitical influences and limitations of artificial intelligence models, raising concerns about censorship and misinformation. So as AI continues to evolve, it's essential that we rigorously vet and monitor our AI platforms to ensure that they serve as unbiased and reliable tools for education. Additionally, we must also be intentional in integrating AI literacy for both staff and students, equipping them with the knowledge and skills to navigate AI responsibly and critically. So now that you have a little update of what's new in AI, we're going to give it a try. I provided you with a couple of resources. This first one is also for you to be able to take home and use. This is an AI tool comparison that we developed that compares 4 of the primary language learning models, ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, and Claude. It gives you an overview about when you may want to use some of these AI platforms, what are some of its strengths, but what are also some of its limitations. So for example, ChatGPT is really great at ideation, creative writing, brainstorming, a lot of creative work, whereas like Perplexity is really great for deep research, fact-checking. It's real-time current events, and it cites resources that you can then go and check to make sure and clarify that it is valid. So again, it has that real-time search. And those are the 2, just for time's sake, that we're going to focus on today and practice. The other tool that I provided you is with a prompting tool, what we call Spark. So you'll hear a lot about prompting when it comes to artificial intelligence. And a point of a prompt is we say quality in, quality out. So the quality of your prompt is what the quality of the information that you're going to get back with it. The biggest mistake that individuals use when first trying and using artificial intelligence is putting a prompt in it like you would a search engine like Google. It's just very usually task-driven, give me this. When in reality, you want to think of AI more like a collaborator, like a friend, like having a two-way conversation that you can push on and clarify, and it asks you questions back. So this prompting tool is called Spark, and it's just a framework to help you develop better quality prompts so you get the best use of your AI tool. So S is for situation, really describing the current state or context in which you are operating in. Problem, letting AI know the specific problem or challenge that you're facing. A is aspiration, what are you wanting it to do for you? What is your vision? What does success look like? Results, do you have a specific measurable result that you hope to achieve? And Kismet, which is like an element of serendipity or surprise, you can ask it things like, hey, is there anything I missed from my prompt that you think I should have added but I didn't? And it will actually give you feedback on what maybe something you didn't even think about adding that's giving you a better prompt. You do not have to include all of this, but again, it's just a nice little framework. But Ms. Campbell, just like you said, I'm going to make sure that we're all looking great up here, so I created some prompt options for you. So we have 4 different prompts, or you can choose your own, and the goal is for you to interact. We've already created logins for you, and we have everything up on your computer. So in just a moment, Adrian's going to come up and Lydia, and we're going to help guide you through a couple of these. I already have the prompts on a tab for you as well, so you can select a prompt. I would like you to put it in OpenAI and then put the same prompt in Perplexity and see what the different results are you're getting. So for example, prompt 4 is a fun one to try, which is write a letter recommendation for Adrian Peer, Heather Gold, Moria Elliott for blank position, and highlight their strengths. You're going to see 2 very notable differences of what you get from ChatGPT with that prompt versus what you would get from Perplexity. And we'll talk a little bit about why in a second. Sound good? So here are 4 prompts. We're going to copy, we're going to paste. We can also choose our own, like develop me a travel itinerary to Greece. We can also try that as well. But we're going to have a little bit of fun engaging with these tools. Okay? Okay. Okay, I hope you guys had fun. Bruce has a big old smile. I'm sorry, Mr. Mandrick has a big old smile on his face right now. Did you enjoy interacting with AI?
I went around the world.
You went around the world. How about you, Miss Lily?
I didn't go around the world, I just went to Hawaii. It was great, very interesting. I think it has compelled me to want to know more now.
Fantastic. I want to show you guys Perplexity real quick because Miss Lily or Miss Campbell, yours was faulting a little. So I'm just going to show you real quick with this Perplexity. You can see I have my name in here. As I said with Perplexity, the great thing is it does real-time events. So whereas OpenAI is not as accurate with that. So I just asked it to write a letter of recommendation for me. So it's going to search for me. And you can see it's pulling stuff from LinkedIn, from GCC charters, from here. So then when it creates my letter of recommendation, it's going to be more targeted based off of what it's able to find. So you can see all of the different highlights. It talks about how I do MTSS, spearheaded district-wide innovations, and then you'll see right here, this one is going to provide the resource for it. This will allow our educators to be able to cite and make sure that the information it's providing is actually accurate, which is essential. You can see it also pulled up my picture as well. You can see the citations here, 1 and 3. So this one is coming actually from, this is a different Heather Younger, so maybe I would let it know that that source is not accurate to remove that, right? But that's a great thing about being able to verify my resources. The next tool I just want to briefly show you, you all do have accounts for this as well. So if you're interested, just reach out to Miss DeMarco and she'll show you. This tool is called DIFIT, and it is a great resource for our educators. This allows our teachers to be able to create differentiated materials to use with students within seconds. The cool thing about this, you can literally put any topic, that's why it's called literally anything. You can do an article, a YouTube link, you can do text or PDF from current curriculum that they already have. So for example, I'm just going to tell this to do one on the gold rush. Okay, I'm going to make sure that it's standards aligned to ELA standards. You will see all of the standards pop up. So I can just select the standards. I'm just going to leave it blank for the sake of time. Down here, I can choose a reading level, 5th grade, 4th grade. I'm going to change it to 4th grade. The language also, it does translate in over 70 languages, including Ukrainian and Russian, which is very rare. I'm going to keep it in English so we can see it. I can also decide if I want to do informational text or if I want to do fictional text. And then I'm going to generate resources. So within seconds right now, it's going to create me a plethora of different resources that I will be able to use with my students and continue to differentiate them based off of need, which is great for our English language learners. So you'll see here that it's actually providing me with pictures, which is great EL strategy. If I do not like these pictures, I have others that I can choose from. I'm also able to continue to adapt it. So like I said, I wanted it at a 4th grade reading level, but I can then come and change the text length of it. I can say I want it shorter, I can make it longer, I can do a customized length depending on what assignment I'm using or based off of the need of my students. I can show sources. I can also edit this to add any changes that I want to myself. Here's a summary of it. As well, I can edit this and key vocabulary words. With the key vocabulary words, I can add my own. I can also add images, which again is one of that great pedagogy strategies for our students. It will also provide multiple choice questions for me already created, short answer, open-ended, etc. You'll then see here it says get student activities. When I click on this, it's going to provide me a bunch of different ones like Freyr's vocabulary practices, summarizing strategies, reading strategies, and writing strategies. And let's say I want to work on this one. I'm going to work on vocabulary with my students. It's going to import all of those vocabulary words that you just saw, as well as any of the images, into these resources for me that I can then print into worksheets for my students. I can also put it into a PowerPoint so I can provide direct instruction, or I can also put this in Google Classroom as well. So just a quick little highlight of this amazing tool that our teachers can use. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so very much for bringing us this information. I know that we're just starting into it, but it's kind of nice to see how it really works. First time we really had a demonstration of how it really works. So thank you so much. Yes,
That was fascinating.
yeah.
How does AI, how do these different programs deal with copyrighted information or information that I can get to if I have an account with it? How does it, can it draw from those databases, and how does it do it?
Yeah, so anything that it's trained on, which right now is anything that is on the internet, it's able to use. You're also able to customize your own chatbots, which means if you purchased a book, you can then train your own AI on using that material that you purchased. Copyright, though, is something that we are in charted territory right now, and it is, on court legislation. They're not really sure right now how to navigate that, but it is, whatever it is trained on it is using. Yeah.
You also mentioned, you were mentioned in the book by name.
Mr. Pierre and I, yes, ma'am.
There's certain pages.
Yes. I can get you the pages, but for example, if you turn to page 100. You will see the quote, "the leadership voice," where Gateway Community Charters, Mr. Pierre and myself are
Yes, I
quoted.
see it.
Also
Ah,
page 106.
Excellent, excellent.
Yes,
Thank you.
you're very welcome. Any other questions? I'm not going to, just want to let you guys know that Parent AI Information Night we just had, our very first parent night. This was our strategic plan that we shared with you, which our first step last year was all in building our internal capacity. Ms. Campbell, that's what you were saying, is how do you know so much information about this so
Yeah.
quickly? Is making sure that we did have the knowledge so that we can strategically lead this. The second is building our staff capacity, which we've been really working on this year, and then engaging our families and then students. So we had our first AI Information Night on March 5th. We had some great questions and even a great affirmation about how a parent was very excited to see how strategic that we are implementing this. And then we are starting student use guidelines. We have our second round of that this Thursday. I'm not going to read this to you guys, but if you have time, this is a prompt. I asked Perplexity to pull your profiles, and it actually created a very fun, I asked it to create a Dr. Seuss poem about you board members. I'll just read the beginning and the end, but it says, "Oh, the board of GCC, what a marvelous crew, 5 dedicated members, tried and true. There's Lillian, Bruce, Harry, Mark, and Jack. For students and staff, they've always got their back." And then if you go to the ending, it says, "Innovation and quality, their constant aim, putting Gateway Community Charters on the map of fame. So here's to the board, oh so wise and true, Campbell, Mandrick, Block, Anderson, and Turner too. Their dedication shines, oh so bright, guiding GC towards a future that's right."
Great,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you.
That is wonderful, thank you, and we are trying to do that.
And Madam President, I just want to take this opportunity to publicly affirm Dr. Gold for her work.
Yes.
She really has, when we started first talking about AI and what those initials could even mean, Dr. Gold really has taken this initiative and this work and has leveled it up. So really want to publicly affirm her for the great work that she is doing and is seen as a leader, not only here, but I think you're also seen as a leader some other places. So why don't you tell us real quick about this other place you're going to go soon and talk about AI at?
PCOE? I'm not which one.
Well, all the other places too, but PCOE.
Yeah, I was very excited. I had a connection by Mr. Sergey Terepkov and Gail Garbino Mojica. Did I say that right?
Almost.
Garbalino Mojica. Whew. Anyways, the amazing superintendent at Placer County Office of Education has asked me to come to their board retreat in April, and so I will be doing a session for their board as well.
We're so proud of you.
Thank
So
you.
proud of the work you're doing.
Thank you.
You really are. Thank you.
And I think I have some of you on my side now, so I'm excited to hear the updates.
But yeah. Thank you so very, very much. And we're going to move on because we have quite an agenda here. The next study item is California Community Schools Partnership Program Grant Update. who is that you?
Yeah, so Madam
Yes.
President, I'm going to call for Director Terekov, who will come and introduce our guests. And, Sergey, if you could just give a brief update about our trip that we just took in terms of our deep dive work.
Thank you, Superintendent. Thank you. Superintendent Sample and Assistant Superintendent Elliott, myself, and a couple of our staff members, actually Paulina Morozo and I. So we went to 2 districts in Southern California to do a learning exchange on community school program, which went really well. So we have visited Ontario, Montclair, as well as Valverde, pardon me. It's in, one is up in San Bernardino County, the other one is in the Riverside County. So I had wonderful time to learn about their wonderful work. I mean, they started their community school work. It was not called community school, but they started their work like 20 plus years ago in terms of like incorporating various services into the school. Like at one place we saw community clinic, actually 2 places. We saw community clinic functioning there in partnership with county public health. There was a laundromat, and to just name a couple of those. So it was wonderful exchange. That's part of our deep dive program, where like we, along with Whitland and those 2 other districts that I just named, are part of. So with that, I'd like to say that community engagement, and particular community school program requires a lot, like a great community partnership, collaboration, and I'm very proud and very honored to say that over years, we built wonderful relationship with community strong strategists now. And I had a chance to work with Richard in his different capacity when he was executive director of Mutual Assistance Network, particularly in the youth enrichment programs, as well as when Richard was leading economic development for Sierra Health Foundation, and now with Community Strong Strategies. So it is my pleasure and honor to introduce partner Richard Dana of Community Strong Strategies.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon. It's good to see you all again. I had the pleasure of presenting to you at your board retreat last year and went over what I'm going to recap a little bit today, some of the comprehensive data needs assessments we did. We looked at then using that some best practice material to make sure that, and I'm going to see if I can use this thing. Let's see, good. There it goes. It's just, I have to point it is what it comes down to. So we, we're going to use that to like launch into what Superintendent Sample, Sergey's team did in terms of really creating their platform for the Community Strong, Community Services, Community Schools, initiative. I'm excited though, because what you're going to see through this is how you've all taken data, you've taken best practices, you've taken informed knowledge from your students, your parents, your staff, and turned it into what can be a game changer for gateway charters. So as a quick recap, and I will not spend much time on this because I really did go over all of this with you, but I want to make sure you remember or just can see some of these core points. We went through 3 key areas. We looked at demographics, so things like median household income, median age, home ownership rates. This is all about distinct geographic communities that your schools are in. Economic barriers, violent crime rates, walkability rates, things that would impact your students either positively or create concerns for them, right? Then we took the next bucket, which was community services. So really considering the social component and the support that's available to take your students and your families to that next place, to that next level, to make sure that anything that is a barrier can be supported. And then we looked at academics. And again, this is creating a baseline for you that was like, well, where are we if these communities are looking at like X, then our students are actually performing at Y level because they have, either strengths or concerns that they're dealing with on a regular basis. We took that, all that information, and we merged it into your communities, where your schools are. So this one, I will not go through all of those, I promise, but this is an example of the demographics one. This is the household median income. And you were looking at really what it is that your students, income-wise, their families, where they stand in comparison to the counties. So you can see where they're high and low, and as we discussed last time, generally, because you all are doing good stuff in tough communities where students really need you, your communities have some lower income rates. We then took the community services components, and we said, well, which communities have which type of services? You know, whether it's social engagement opportunities, building mentoring, health, or community-based organizations that maybe are doing mental health work and other things. And we really teased that out for you and looked at it from a broader level of what we can see. Then we looked at your students' scores in comparison to what would be the county scores, so we could get the general average of where we are. We did that for both ELA and math. And we took that and turned that into strategies. So we really identified the core areas that you all already knew. We just used data to exemplify it and say, okay, we know there's economic barriers. We know we want to bolster the academic support, but academic support doesn't always mean just academics. It often means enhancing the methodologies. It also means enhancing community promotion and resources. It also means being focused on that student. We took that, and then we went through a whole process of looking at best practices that fit those core areas that your team could use. If you recall, we landed on the Harlem Children's Zone, which we presented to you. So I'm going to be very brief. The Harlem Children's Zone is over 20 years old. It's a charter district, so that's why it fits so well. It's also, you're going to see in a minute, it has differences than your district. But it also focused on health and wellness. It focused on family and community as a center point to support your students. And it took best practices, national programs, and readapted them for their students. They went all the way from early childhood to what they call crib to career. Inside of that, each of their levels, their elementary or middle or so on, have components that overlap each other, but are designed to do all the things that enhance the student and the family simultaneously, including, and I'll just say, health. So they have health clinics, mental health, they have enrichment activities, and their enrichment activities are designed academically to just bolster the kids' approach. So your team did an amazing job of taking that, then adding a lot to it. They did focus groups, surveys, they connected with staff, they created a pathway to launching the Community Schools Partnership Program. That pathway is actually designed, in essence, around taking your students, bolstering their academic opportunities by supporting family and including community inside of it. Doing that, and I stole this, from your own computer. It's on your website. I didn't use AI, though, I will admit that. So I just pulled it up. You can see your 4 core areas, which include integrating student supports, everything I just said, family and engagement, a collaborative leadership opportunity, and then extended learning time and opportunities, which is that enhancement beyond just the classroom experience. In the corner, you'll see the family, community, and schools all wrapped together. So that matches a lot of what I just talked about in terms of best practice and all the data and how that relates to it. So you'll see your goals are pretty much the same as the Harlem Children's Zone model, but there's some core differences that you need to really kind of approach with what I think is your best opportunity for success. So looking at this from a standpoint of Harlem Children's Zone, it's a small community. Harlem is 97 blocks. Gateway is not 97 blocks. It's much bigger. You have multiple communities, and if you remember, when I showed you that first slide around the median household income, you're talking about multiple communities. So you're gonna have some nuances that are similar in approach, but maybe different partners grabbing onto them. You're gonna have, as a core approach, your work has been really wrapped on community hubs. Your schools are community hubs. They offer wraparound services. Harlem Children's Zone is a neighborhood in itself. The entire pipeline is that neighborhood. Your program right now is state-funded only. That's okay, you're just starting. Harlem Children's Zone is over 20 years old. They are now really focused on philanthropy, private funding, someplace that we're going to work with you on moving yourself towards a sustainability model to build out from the first step, which is launching an implementation, which your team is really close to moving on a full plan with, to actual sustainability approaches, from philanthropy to public dollars as well. And then lastly, the target population. You have similarities, but again, you're looking at a difference from student base and their family to community, which Harlem Children's Zone does. So to move this into, for you, your next steps that your team is working on with Community Strong Strategies, we are looking at the process of engagement across the board for your entire district. So you're talking about areas of professional building, community outreach and engagement, support and design, establishing a community partner model, which includes curriculums and all of that, and then doing an annual update, which is one of the things we'll be starting on right away. So although I did that from the back, right? If you look at what would be 11 o'clock, that's going to be your next step actually, is really updating that and launching then what is the next pieces and components for your work. So next, we actually are going to be taking all of that annual community needs assessment work that I just mentioned. We're going to be breaking it down for you into refined data points that instead of being zip code based, which is what your first needs assessment was, we've got software, tools that do use AI that really wrap a specific geographic area around your schools so you can be more defined in your community. I'll give you an example. 95838, one of your community areas, that zip code wraps multiple communities. It doesn't quite fit where your school is 100% located. We'll be able to narrow that down and be much more refined for your students and for your school. And we're going to do that also in line with co-listening sessions with Sergey's team. We'll be supporting in working with students and parents and faculty to make sure that we've actually got their input in process. That becomes an annual evaluation assessment as well as a tool, because each year we'll be able to talk to the students about how they're engaging in this work. We'll see their changes in their thought process through it. We've used this process quite a bit. We're excited because all of that's going to happen between now and the end of May. There'll be 16 sessions, and we are going to be able to provide you all with amazing data that we will have as a baseline for your project as you're moving ahead. From there, we'll support you with all the other areas that we talked about. Your team is the one that's up front. Your team is the one that takes the push to move it. We're the behind-the-scene backbone that supports with all the tools and everything else that you need to make it work. Thank you.
What is the board's responsibility to this? You said you're going to have this done, completed by May. How do we fit in? Just receiving the information, or?
That's a great question. I'll start, and I'll actually look at Superintendent Sample because that's more of his line of work than mine. But I'll start by saying you all have already played a really key role when I met with you a year ago, and you gave us a whole bunch of input right away during that discussion, which we have carried forward in terms of how the model would look right away. The next step is actually for us to bring that next assessment back so that you would be able to give us the next set of thought process. You know your communities, your school, your district certainly better than we do, and we look at the students and the parents in the same capacity. Superintendent Sample?
No, I was going to just say, I think that the needs assessment work did start with our board last year during our board retreat. And so that will continue to be part of our feedback cycle where Richard and his team will bring back data from current, and then we'll start looking at moving ahead. So, yeah.
Board members, any other comments, questions? No? You okay? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. We'll be waiting for the next step.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. We good?
Yes.
All right. Okay, item 3 in the study session, immigration and refugee family update. That's you again. Okay, thank you.
Director Terekoff.
The right one. Okay, here you go. The GCC board. So first of all, what I'd like to say is thank you so much for taking your interest, investing your time and care about immigrants and refugees. The reason, and from the day one when I joined Community and Business Advisory Council, which was, I believe, 2010. So the previous superintendent and current superintendent and you guys were all well invested into, well-being and success of refugees and immigrants. And as an immigrant and refugee myself, so I did come as a refugee in 1996, so it is very dear to my heart. So with that, I'd like to, because of the current, it's not a news necessarily, but some information that got out to media, which was not confirmed by current administration, particularly concerning United for Ukraine program. So I'd like to share some facts and some data and some thoughts on like where we at and how this can potentially impact us. So with that, okay. So in February of 2022, as soon as the war started, the war in Ukraine, we began receiving thousands of people fleeing Ukraine as well as the neighboring countries. And the first route, they were going through U.S.-Mexico border and coming through Sacramento. The local churches and community-based organizations worked very hard to actually, they bused people here to Sacramento. They used their own cars. And Biden administration, the previous administration, they allowed those people to come as asylum seekers and on a temporary protective status. And then in April of 2022, so previous administration came up with the program that's called United for Ukraine, and that's a humanitarian parole program that allowed up to, I believe the current count is 240,000 of Ukrainian nationals that came through that program to United States. So anecdotally, I believe in California we have roughly probably like 40 to 50,000 of them that actually stayed here, and I believe that a large number of them, and we're talking about tens of thousands, are actually settled in Sacramento, in the greater Sacramento area, or they came through greater Sacramento area, I should say. All right. So the eligibility, to be eligible for the program, one has to be a resident of Ukraine, actually a citizen of Ukraine or a foreign citizen who lived in Ukraine as of February 11 of 2022, and they have to have a United States-based sponsor, whether it's a family, individual, or an organization, right? So currently, unfortunately, I have to say that this program is on hold and no new arrivals are allowed at this point. So what makes this program unique, that it allowed Office of Refugee Resettlement, which is a federal office, to bring some resources and allow those individuals and families to receive public benefits as long as they paroled before September of 2023. So as of January 27th, United for Ukraine indefinitely suspended by the Trump administration. So no new arrivals, as I mentioned, are allowed at this point. And we have approximately 240,000 of Ukrainian nationals who are currently in the United States under this U4U program. So the Ukrainians that arrived to the United States prior to program being in place are not allowed also to seek U4U eligibility at this point. So I'm aware that many of those families and individuals, particularly now learning about the news of potential closure of the program, they're desperately seeking temporary protective status and some other legal measures to remain legally residing in the United States. And, Superintendent Semple and I, we went to largest Ukrainian Baptist church here in the area. It's called Spring of Life. And that was in the summer. I think it was July of last year. And, this church has been a very long-time partner because as soon as we, saw those families coming to Sacramento area, so our GCC staff stepped in, Principal Gonchar, myself, Ivan Leshuk, community engagement specialist Polina Morozo, and others. We actually were engaged with those churches, with the Soul, with Bethany, being on site, talking to church leadership, talking to those families, and actually helping them to resettle as well as enroll to our schools. So as a result, from February up to now, I believe we enrolled over 900 students. Not all of them stayed, but currently we have approximately 626. That I'd like to acknowledge Director Vivia that, he helped us to put this data because we, as you guys know, we're not, asking for immigration status when students are enrolling, right? So the way we went with this particular data, so we looked at students who came from Ukraine and they were enrolled in United States school as of February 22 and later. So that came with the 626. So probably a few of them might have different immigration status, but majority of these folks are definitely U4U, right? So this is kind of like how this embedded in our schools. And you can look at the breakdown. Gateway International School has 40, EPIC has 71, COA Middle School has 128, and then elementary has 229, CCCS has 45. As well as the futures have 107 and HOA have 6. And as you guys can see, our schools, GCC schools, became school of choice for those people, right? So I mean, we are probably the most in terms of like per capita, we have the most of the students. Or the ratio is very high for us, right? I don't know anyone in Sacramento, any LEA that has higher numbers. So what makes people come to us is the services that we provide on site. People from the community that are culturally and linguistically can connect with those folks. And this is one of the reasons why we were chosen by the state to be a deep dive site, because of that uniqueness in the services that we provide. So we are working very closely with a number of partners, particularly in the light of the latest events and the information coming about potential closure of the program. So we work very closely with organizations such as Sacramento Food Network. So we do get alerts about any potential ICE raids or if there's any kind of legal updates. Sacramento Act, actually we work with Sacramento Act to put together a resource page for our families, in terms of what they can do if there's a threat of deportation. Then another organization is California Rural Legal Assistance Foundation that provide legal aid to immigrants, and we work very, very closely with Office of Congresswoman Doris Matsui. So we build those relationships, and we have a commitment from Matsui's staff to help if individuals need urgent assistance in terms of like getting temporary protective status or any other matters. They can we can connect them with the office of Doris Matsui. And we're also in the contact with other congressional delegations, but kind of Matsui is leading the way here. So, and we are providing very unique services right now with, what we have for students and families, through community school program as well as CYBHI. So we have a lot of resources. And it does very uniquely position our schools, in terms of being a community hub for those families in the event, currently as well as in the event if something happens with the programming. And it could be that, the federal administration can shut down funding for them to receive cash assistance or Medicaid or whatnot. So that could be a substantial barrier for them. Now, talking to those families, from what I understand, majority of them have no plans to leave United States, which is kind of a good news for us in terms of like enrollment and the impact. All right, and at this point, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions, comments? Thank you. I think you have given us, because some of the board members wanted to know what the population was and where they're situated, so we really appreciate the fact that you had that information available for us.
You're very welcome, and we're monitoring situation
Yeah.
and staying in touch with superintendent and superintendent's office in terms of any kind of updates or changes. Thank you so
Doing a great
much.
job at this time. 'Cause
Thank you.
very much needed. Anything else, board members?
Yes, Madam President, I just want to bring to the board's attention that later on in tonight's board meeting, the board will be adopting a resolution to our resolution 2024-2507, which is safe and supportive learning environments for all students regardless of immigration status. And so again, that work really goes to the work that Sergey and his team have done and will continue to do with our families. But I just want to bring that to the board's
Yes,
attention.
thank you. If we have no other questions?
I'm sorry, I said myself prematurely. I thought we're done.
Huh?
Sorry about that. Are we good?
We're good.
Okay, thank you.
We're good, yes, yes. All right, are we ready for recognition?
There we go. We are ready for recognition. So, Madam President, members of the board, tonight, we are proud to recognize the Gateway Stunners drumline. The drumline was launched this fall, and it really is to give students across GCC an opportunity to connect through music. What I love most about this group is it's not just one school, but it is multiple GCC schools that have come together. So through rehearsals and performances, students are learning discipline, leadership, as well as responsibility, all while sharing their talents with the community. So tonight, we have Mr. Connor and Mr. V and the members of the Gateway Stunners drumline who are going to be here. What's that, Melissa?
She's looking at me.
Oh, I was like, did I?
I'm already
Oh,
ready.
you're ready. And so
I'm
I'm excited to hear our students. I'm going to ask the board if you will join because it's going to get loud in here.
Oh, yes.
So I'm going to invite you to join us here in the audience as we invite our students to come in, and then we will recognize them afterwards.
You need help? No. Yeah, we're going down there. They're coming in here. You need anything, you need help? You good?
We're ready for y'all.
Yes, we are.
right, so to our students, why don't you tell us what school you come from? Actually, I'm going to ask Miss Julia, who is our communication specialist. Now, I will tell you, every now and then, Julia gets pulled into something that's called superintendent's projects that are not really communications related, but they end up being what tells our story. So, Julia,
Thank you.
and you can introduce the team.
Hello, board. Hello, superintendent. Hello, everyone. So yes, this is our incredible drum line. Our students actually started drumming this October, right, of last year. And so it's only been a few months, but they sound amazing, right? So whenever I call your guys' name, just raise your hand so that we know who you are. So we have Mia Rice from CCCS High School. Emil Albijovanov, Emil, COA Middle School. Kirill Casimir from COA Middle School. Alana Anderson from Savannah-Thomas. Alexi Kasparian from COA Middle School. Raise your hand, Alexi. And Jaden Irvin Marby Harris from Savannah-Thomas. And so this couldn't be possible without our incredible drumline instructors. So we have Mr. Xavier Connor. And of course, Mr. James Van Buren, better known as Mr. V. And so I do want to give them, if it's okay, the opportunity to just share a little bit about their experience and all the work they've been doing with the drumline. So I'll let you guys go ahead.
What's me first? Okay, well, I'm gonna go. Hey, y'all. So my experience with the drumline has just been amazing. These wonderful students have really put in the work, practiced, literally got this whole show down within 2 to 3 months. So I'm just very proud of you guys. Keep going, keep doing what you guys have to do. And I just think that this is just a great outlet for students to just come and play music and just have a good time without getting in trouble. So thank you. Thank you.
And I have to say, I second everything that Mr. Connor says. You know, initially, as you know, with all new programs, you're going through what ifs and what ifs and how's it going to make it happen. And we overcame those challenges. And then once we got together, then we realized there was a significant language barrier, if you understand what I'm saying. But music is incredible. It's a beautiful instrument, a beautiful avenue to communicate with people. And as you can see, it's been a great job, and we've established rapport with them. And I like the direction that we're going. And thank you guys for having faith in us.
So tonight, the board would like to recognize these students. I'm going to ask them if they will come up here and take a picture with the board. We do have certificates for you that we will give to you. And Miss Julia, if you'll come help pass these out, and then we'll take a picture with our students. Unless you guys want to say something, right? Okay. Oh, yeah.
I do want to say something, Ms. Julia. I have heard you, I think, at each of your performances. Yeah, yes, you've seen me. And I am just so thrilled and proud of each of you. I think I watch your director more than anything, because the way he gives instructions and you follow those instructions, I want to get up and just dance with you. I tell you, it is just tremendous what you have done in these 3 months. I am so proud to say I am with GCC and with you guys. Thank you so much. And I will be wherever you are whenever I get a chance, because you are great. Thank you.
And teachers, instructors, if you'll join us right here, and we're going to line up board, come on. And by the way, if you feel the front of your certificates, it feels a little dusty, you guys knocked dust out of the ceiling tonight. So.
You guys are so great.
So I said we never do 2 rows. Yeah.
How you doing? You know you my special love. I've seen you in Grant, so it's so Please do, don't stop. You got it, great. Thank you.
All right, yeah, you guys. All right.
Bye-bye. Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Good job, guys.
It's all worth the traveling when you see students who are progressing, and that's why we're here. So it's wonderful. Thank you, Superintendent, for your vision. All right. I think we're down to consent agenda items. Okay, very good. For the sake of the guests, I will read the consent agenda items. Can you hear me okay? Okay. Approve adoption of GCC board meeting minutes 2/11/25. Approve personnel consent agenda. Approve purchases over $30,000. Approve Elica Health Center MOU. Approve board policy revised. Approve school field trips. Ratifying Futures High School wrestling tournament because they have already gone. It was February 13th and 15th, and the superintendent approved that overnight. Approve Sava Whitewater Rafting Calumet River, California field trip June 23rd, 26th, overnight. And approve Sava Smithsonian Folk Life Festival, Washington, D.C. field trip June 30th and July through the 8th, overnight. Before we entertain a vote on this motion, there are, and then last one, approve resolution 2024-25-7, safe and supportive learning environment for all students regardless of immigration status. Just for discussion, there are a couple of items there I would like to pull for just to talk about. And I mentioned the wrestling tournament has already taken place and the superintendent ratified that. Could you talk a little bit about the Smithsonian Folklife Festival, Washington, D.C.? I think there's something interesting that's going to happen there.
Absolutely. Thank you, Madam President. So the item on the Smithsonian Folk Life Festival in Washington, D.C. this summer, Sava has been invited to bring and showcase the electric vehicle lowrider by the Smithsonian Museum in Washington, D.C. this summer. The museum, as you will see in this background, is paying for our students as well as chaperones to come and be there for this display. And the Smithsonian will be shipping the car, so they're paying for the shipping of the car to Washington, D.C. So we're extremely proud of that work and the work of our students, and that it will be on display in Washington, D.C.
I thought it was noteworthy to talk about that before we take the vote so that we will know that something significant is happening there. And the resolution for supportive learning environment is what we talked about with the report. So I just wanted to make sure that we brought that to your attention too, because we talked about it at our board retreat and now we're voting on it. So any other questions or comments on any of the consent agenda items? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion.
I'll move approval of the consent agenda.
Move approval of the consent agenda?
Second.
It's second. All right. Any other discussion, questions, comments? You good? All right. Okay, we'll call for the vote. Mr. Mark Anderson?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Harry Block?
Yes.
Mr. Bruce Mandrek?
Yes.
Lily Campbell, yes. The consent agenda items have been unanimously approved as presented. So thank you very, very much. And now we move into item 7, business. Approve second interim revised budget and financial report. Thank you so much. You are ready and ready to go. So, thank you. Ms. O'Meara.
Good evening, Board President Lily Campbell, and trustees, Superintendent Campbell, and cabinet members, and our audience offline on Zoom and here in person. So let's get started. Okay, Melissa, what button is it? To the right. Just this one? No? There, okay. Just want to make sure I press the right button. Okay. So to start, I want to acknowledge the team that goes into this over 300-page document. It takes a team to create this document, a lot of input from different stakeholders. So Valerie Rogers, Director of Business Services, which is here in our audience, Yvonne Grazer, Fiscal Services Supervisor, Sophia Cornejo, which is our new Fiscal Services Supervisor, Cindy Ponikvar is our Budget and Financial Analyst, Mia Vang is our brand new Budget and Financial Analyst, site staff, directors, campus principals, and clerks always put in input in every single interim we have and every budget cycle we have. And then our Ed Services team, of course, they're invaluable. Recommendations, opinions, and feedback are always needed for this particular, for all budgets. So, thank you. Thank you. All right, we'll go ahead and do the overview of what we will be discussing tonight. Just brief introduction, just did that. LCFF assumptions, the enrollment in the ADA figures, your unduplicated pupil percentage, the revenue, expenses, your fund balance, and then lastly, some risks and conclusion to our my presentation. Okay, let's see which one I want to use. This one works better. I like it. Thank you, Melissa. Well, actually, this is a second introduction. The first one was acknowledgments. The second interim is it includes the original budget, your board-approved budget, which is your first interim, your revised budget, which is your second interim, which is the one we're presenting tonight. It includes expenses or your actual expenses through January 31st of 2025. This presentation will focus on the comparison between first interim and second interim, revisions across our GCC sites. If you need additional information, it's in your budget book. Okay, we're going to start with the LCFF assumptions, which is the biggest chunk of our revenue. The assumptions for this interim is that we have a 1.07 COLA that has not changed. Our base, based on those numbers, is for TK3 is $10,269. That has a grade span adjustment due to the education level for those particular grades of 1,068 per student. We have supplemental and concentration add-on. It varies between sites, so I'm just saying we do get those fundings for all of our sites. And then we have TK add-on, which has increased about double from last year to 6,404, and that is due to the new ratio that is required this year of 10-1. Grades 4 to 6, the base is 10,424, and for grades 7, 8 is 10,733. Those two grade spans do not get any grade span adjustment. Those are just flat numbers, plus the supplemental and concentration, of course. And then grades 9 through 12 is 12,439 with a grade span adjustment of 323. Okay. Okay, sorry for those that are viewing on audience. It looks a little tiny, but in summary, enrollment is flat. This is based on seabeds, and it's not necessarily mean that our enrollment stops growing or declining. This is a snapshot of seabeds. And so we report seabed numbers to our authorizers at every single interim after first interim. So there's not an increase in enrollment, but I do want to point that CCCS has 26 increase enrollment as of last Friday. And Sava Twin Rivers has an increase of 18 based from these numbers at CBEDS. GIS has an increase of 8 students, and Sava Elk Grove has an increase of 12 students to date. And so that also varies and changes our P2 numbers. Our P2 numbers are, at this particular time at second interim, are based on your P1 data points, which we have already reported to the state. And we look at historicals of the change between P1 and P2. And so that's why you see that increase of 70.47 in ADA. So we look at historicals and figure out what that new number is. Okay, our unduplicated pupil percentage is used to calculate your supplemental concentration dollars, and it's low-income English learners and foster youth. And then these dollars have to be split out on the plan, which is our LCAP plan, and show how these dollars are spent and how they're making an impact for our students. So pretty flat from first interim. There's not really big swings. We're going to go ahead and move on to our general funds revenue. Our LCFF increased 1.1. That's due to your ADA increase of 70.47. I already explained what P1 and P2 data points and how they reflect on that number. We had UPP increases for 3 of 9 sites, but pretty much they were pretty flat. In our federal revenue, we increased 248, and that is due to school improvement or CSI dollars coming in twice as high. So Assistant Soup Morielli and I kind of looked to see why that was, and there's less participants, less people, less districts and LEAs that qualify for this funding, and so makes that pool less. So just because we got twice as much this year doesn't mean we're going to get twice as much next year. So it's really based on what schools qualified, and then they divide the amount of money between the schools. So the more schools we have, the less money we have, the less schools that are eligible for this money, the more funding we have. And so this year we saw twice as much as the prior year. National School Lunch Program, that is, we're running it here at EPIC, has shown an increase in the reimbursement rate, so we've adjusted that number. And then there were some slight increases on the Title I allocation. There's revisions to allocations throughout the year, and so this is what that reflects for federal funding. For your state funding, we have an increase of $4.7 million. 4.3 of it is the Golden State Pathways grant that was awarded for all the SAVAs. So the 3 SAVAs received funding of total of 4.3 to be spent over the 5 years. This pathway had, they've kind of been going back and forth where they said, we're going to give it to you at the end of last year. Then they came back and said, no, we lied. We're not going to give it to you. So it was in our adopted budget. It was taken out at our first interim, and then it was put back in right now at second interim. So we finally got the GANs, which means that hopefully it's official and they're not going to back out. I believe we've received apportionments already for this funding. Yes, we did. So it's here and it's not going anywhere anymore. $459,000 of career technical incentive education grant dollars were received for 2 new sites. So now all of our 9 LEAs within GCC are receiving this type of funding. This is a vocational grant and can be used for counselors, teachers teaching vocational classes, and any other type of career tech instruction. So that's great news. Local revenue, we have an increase of 1.2. It's mainly due to our interest payments. We've gotten a lot of interest money in the last couple years, and that's really just due to our cash balances being so high at this point. As one-time money goes down, we'll see those potentially coming down too. $185,000 for CYBHI. This is the same money, same type of money as the Haluna grant that Sergey Terkov, Director Sergey Terkov applied for. This is another one that he also applied for through Sacramento County Office of Ed. And so it's to be for community use, mental health, family resources, et cetera. So that is a new grant that we received this year. And the rest of it is donations, facility use, which is something new we started this year with Facilitron. We've been getting revenue through there to pay for our custodial, any type of potential facility improvements on those fields could potentially be used with some of this funding. And then we also had an insurance claim for our Sava Power Insight. There was a flooding claim that we had to put through, so that's what that entails. Okay, we're going to move on to expenditures. We see a decrease in all three categories for certificated salaries, classified salaries, and benefits. The bulk of this is vacancies. We bring down vacancies at every interim based on where we're at. In case they hire, we need to leave funding there to ensure that they have money to pay those salaries. We're getting closer to the end of the year. And so some of these are reflective of potentially having a scoot sub or a swing sub in positions throughout the rest of the year. The other piece that we're seeing is attrition. We are working diligently with our sites to ensure that due to the cliff for next year and reductions in their budgets, that they're making sure that we're looking at every position, making sure we're making cuts now versus having to do layoffs. So that is the other piece that you see in both certificated and classified salaries. In benefits, they're just directly correlated to your certificated and classified being lower. For books and supplies, with the new Golden State Pathways, we've budgeted a portion to this category. We have also increased the 4,000s category for the CTIG. A lot of materials and equipment get paid for these vocational programs in order to be able to teach the instruction. For services and other operating expenses, we increased $584,000. And this is correlated to the vacancy savings you're seeing in the certificated and classified salaries with the special ed contracts and classroom teacher and paraeducator contracts that we're having to have in order to ensure that they're staffing for the instruction of our students. Our capital outlay increase is 5.7. This is including the field at Futures and HLA of $3.5 million. That field is needed for physical education, for sports. We currently have a field that is not adequate to be able to be used year-round. A fourth of this field is being paid out of the ELOP. We have a lot of ELOP carryover that we're trying to ensure that we're spending down and that we're not sending back to the state. COA Elementary Playground, same thing, partly funded out of ELOP. We want to make sure that we use those ELOP dollars now before they're having to expire. The GIS expansion project is another project that I've ensured we have all the funding there to be able to complete. That was board approved earlier this year at $8.1 million, I believe. And we are moving with phase 1 of that project. We have a phase 2 that might not happen till next year. If that is the case, we will end up rolling the purchase order. And lastly, your fund balance shows an increase of fund balance of 2.5. Let me get to that slide. And that's really due to the Golden Pathway being added into the revenue. So we are only budgeting 1 year or half a year in the current year. Therefore, the 2.5 that you're seeing increased is due to the Golden Pathways carryover funds that are going into the next year. If you look at your restricted programs it's that $5.2 million figure. That is the increase due to anticipated carryover. So the closer we get to the end of the year, the amounts get tighter in terms of what we're budgeting. And so our new carryover for restricted has increased by $5.2 million. One has to do with recording the Golden Pathway, and the rest is due to the CYBH funding and the California Partnership Program. Okay, and then if we go down to the facility reserves, you see that there's a drop of 2.9. That's really to ensure that GIS has the funds to pay for this field, so that has now been added to the expense line. And so the numbers are still in there, they're just on top in the 6,000 capital outlay. The reserve for sustainability, we've had to pull a little bit out for the GIS expansion in this category by 357,000. And then again, for your reserves, that went up because we have all that much more expenses in your budget. We have to increase the 5% set aside for reserve for economic uncertainty. And in conclusion, just some risks that we have to be aware of and be looking at is the potential shutdown of the Federal Department of Education. It's been all over the news. We're continuing to watch that. Federal policy of uncertainty with immigration and tariffs, the elevated interest rates, tax revenue delays. So this, to me, is a really big deal. As we saw what happened in the last cycle where the tax were delayed, they were overstated. And so this is really due to the wildfires that are happening in Southern California. They're allowing, California's allowing a delay on taxes. So that's not going to give the governor his numbers within the time and can really change the Prop 98 like it did a couple years ago. The new governor's maneuver to under appropriate the 24-25 minimum guarantee by 1.6 million. So in the budget, he reduced his Prop 98 minimum guarantee by that much. Potential loss of one-time funding promise for the 25-26 year of 1.8. So there's a professional development block grant that we're hoping to get, but I don't know how this maneuver is going to impact that grant. I'm sure that these numbers are very close in the amounts, and so we're not probably going to budget this for adopted budget. We're probably going to wait until we have more information, more concrete information. There's still stock market volatility. Purse costs continue to increase. They did lower from our first interim, but they're still continuing to rise. Competitive salaries across our surrounding districts continue to be an issue for us. And then the cliff, the loss of one-time funding, is coming to an end, with the exception of that potential 1.8 million of professional development. But again, we got to be real careful on not banking on that until we know it's for sure. And I will entertain any questions.
Thank you very much. I want to congratulate you and the whole team. I want to say that we continue to be in very good hands in spite of all the risks, which are real. But the risks that we've already faced have been met very well, and the planning is very good. And I'm really thankful for the leadership and the staff and the whole team that's put this together. I can't believe it's second interim time already.
Already, yeah.
Yeah.
So you're in the budget already, so that's next year.
Yeah, we're already starting that work.
Yes, we are.
No comments? Well, let's see, how many staff people? 1, 2?
Two right now.
2 right now, 2 right now. Thank you. They're working. Well, will you take back our congratulations and thanks to all of you for your hard work? Because if it were not for you, we wouldn't have this budget. So thank you. We can rest assured that things are in great order based upon what you've given us.
Thank
So
you.
thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, all right. Any comments?
No comment, just board vote.
Okay, board vote. I will entertain a motion to approve the second interim revised budget and financial report.
I'll move to approve the second interim budget.
So moved, okay, may I have a second? Did you second?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry, did not hear it. Okay. Any other discussion? Questions, comments? Hearing none. Roll call. Mr. Mark Anderson?
Yes.
Mr. Harry Block?
Yes.
Mr. Bruce Mandrick?
Yes.
Lily Campbell, yes. Thank you again with our accolades, and the second interim budget has been approved unanimously. So thank you. All right. We are now moving to approve Articles of Incorporation Amendment. You want to?
Yes. So, Madam President, members of the board, tonight, myself and CBO Raina are requesting the board to update or amend our Articles of Incorporation with the Secretary of State's office. Traditionally, our articles have read that the specific purpose for which this corporation is organized are to manage, operate, guide, direct, and promote. Previously, it said one or more California public charter schools. What we have learned as we continue to grow, it's often confusing to know what charter schools we operate, and this is really more for the federal government's purposes and being able to do some work through SAMs and DUNS, and Elmira can tell you what all those initials mean. And we had two kind of pathways that we could do. We could go and create DBAs for each of our schools, or we could amend our articles by adding the school names directly in so that it's very clear when you think of Gateway Community Charters, we operate the following named schools. Obviously, if we grow and add more schools, we would be bringing back another amendment to add those schools to our articles so that it is very clear. And this will actually assist Elmira and her team in being able to more fastly draw down federal funds as those come in. So we're asking for that change, and then we will file this with the Secretary of State's office.
So we're eliminating one or more and putting in the names of the schools that we service here in GCC.
That's correct.
That's what it amounts to. Any other comments or questions? Okay. I think it's very clear what is happening, the Articles of Incorporation. So I will entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Move to approve.
Second.
Second. Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, roll call. Mark Anderson?
Yes.
Harry Block?
Yes.
Bruce Mandrick?
Yes.
Lily Campbell, yes. The Articles of Incorporation have been approved by the board. Thank you very much. And now, we are moving to board comments before we break for closed session. Board comments, yes, Mr.
I have
Mandrick.
one comment that I have a bag full of lemons I picked off of our tree, and I'll bring it in and put it right in the back as we head out to closed session, so make sure you pick up a few.
There's a big smile there. All right.
And you can take them all because I will be sharing some with the superintendent and the board separately, so everything that comes in here is fair game.
Fair game, so just have fun. All right. Any other comments at this time? And again, I want to thank, I think they've gone, but the principals and all that I participate in activities, so thank you for that privilege of participating in schools and what have you. So with that, we will now get ready to break for closed session. Employee personnel matters pursuant to Government Code Section 54957 and closed session anticipated litigation, Government Code 54956.9. and we will return to report out. So with that, we shall break for now. We are back from closed session, and we had been just information given to us on a couple of the items. So thank you. And now, we are getting ready to start our adjourning, Madam.
Good evening. We want to dedicate this board meeting to Scott Crocker. As we close tonight's meeting, I want to take a moment to honor the life and legacy of Scott Crocker, a visionary leader and dear friend to our community. Through Crocker's branding, Scott dedicated his talents to elevating organizations, telling their stories with passion, and leaving a lasting impact on those he worked with. His commitment to excellence, creativity, and service was evident in everything he did, and his influence will continue to inspire us. We are grateful for his contributions, his kindness, and the difference he made in so many lives. In loving memory of Scott Crocker, may we carry forward his spirit of dedication and purpose in all we do.
Thank you very much. And as we get ready to close our meeting, we will treasure the memory that we have with Scott Crocker and the business that he did with our organization. In memory of it, we close this meeting in his honor. And now, I ask for a motion for adjournment.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved. Any other discussions or comments? All in favor of the adjournment by the voting sign of aye. Aye. The meeting is adjourned. And thank you, board members, for being with us.